Yes, guys, we can move forward. Those who are writing can do the same too, or you can watch the recording later. So what we are going to do now, we are going to see how to connect different VLANs, right? How to connect different VLANs, how to connect different networks. So this is the meaning, right? How to connect different networks, right? What you have to understand is this. Different VLANs cannot talk. So different VLANs, yeah, cannot talk, right? So means when you have like finance network and marketing network, those two, they cannot talk because they are in two different VLANs, right? They cannot talk, basically. But there is a way you can make them talk. There is a way you can connect users from the finance and users from the marketing to talk. There is a way to connect those two departments, two or multiples, right? So from the basic level, you have to understand that two different VLANs cannot talk, right? Like VLAN 10 and VLAN 20, they cannot talk. Means if there is one computer from VLAN 10 and another computer from VLAN 20, they cannot communicate. You cannot send an email from VLAN 10 to VLAN 20 because you are in different departments, right? But there is a way now you can make them talk, right? But they're gonna still be in different networks, but they can talk now. How to make them talk, right? There are three ways we are going to see. The first way is what we call the traditional way, right? The second way is what we call router on a stick. The last way, you can use what we call multi-layer switch, right? So you have to know how to configure VLANs, how to make them talk by using the traditional way, or by using router on a stick, or by using a multi-layer switch. So you must know those three methods, right? So we're gonna start with the traditional way. When you master it, we can move to the router on a stick. When you master it, we're gonna move to the multi-layer switch, right? This is the meaning. So what I wanted you to understand is, again, different VLANs, they cannot talk, all right? For them to talk, you need a router, right? So you need the router. You need what? A router. You need this device for you to make them talk, right? So when you have 100 VLANs, if they are different, there is no way you can make them talk without a router, right? Now, by using that router, there are three ways we can use that router. The traditional way, router on a stick, and multi-layer switch. Now, let's start with the first one. We're gonna see how to connect VLANs by using what? The traditional way, right? So traditional way means that every VLAN will have its own physical cable. So every VLAN will have a physical connectivity to the router, right? So if you have like 10 VLANs, how many connectivity? 10. Means you must run like 10 cables for every VLAN that will go to the router, right? The benefit is, this one is easy to configure, but the cost, right? So if you have 100 VLANs, means 100 cables or 100 connectivity, right? So this is the problem, right? But we're gonna see like at least how to configure it. But you have to understand, for me to make VLAN like talk by using a traditional way, what you're gonna do for every VLAN, I will need a physical cable to the router. Now we're gonna go to the packet tracer. I'm gonna show you how to configure this traditional way, how to make VLANs talk. So I'm gonna go slowly with you. Let me first save my work. This one was, let me just say VLAN, maybe on the picture. I should use the same one, but let me just, so what we're gonna do, we need the router, right? So you can drag and drop, maybe 1941, right? And we are going to put a switch, maybe a 2960. So when you are taking a switch, you must know which number, which model. It's always 2960, right? And I'm gonna have here my two computers here. I can take, 4 computers, 1 switch and 1 router, right? When you are connecting the computers to the switch, you have to pay attention on the ports, the port number. But I'm gonna use from 0/1, like logically. So I'm gonna go like this: 0/1, followed by 0/2, right? Followed by 0/3, right? Followed by 0/4, right? So this one, it's 0/1. I'm just putting for you to. This one is 0/2, 0/3, and 0/4, right? I'm waiting for you to be there with me together, right? So you're going to run your cable. I'm picking up just 4 computers because it's an exercise, but in real scenario, it can be 500. Maybe you have like 10 switches and 500 computers, but the logic's still the same. When you understood it, it's gonna work even if you have 1,000 computers, all right? So you run your cables to the switch. Now, because we are using the traditional way, remember that for the traditional way, every VLAN will have its own cable, right? Now, let's say I'm gonna use like 2 VLANs. So I'm gonna just pick up this one. Oh, what have I done? You can put a yellow one. I like yellow a lot. I don't know why. I always use it the most time. Yeah, no, you can, because when I'm talking, you two can see it, right? But it's not a must. But if you know what you are doing. So this one gonna be my VLAN, maybe 40. And the name I can give it like IT. This one gonna be my VLAN 80. Name I can say HR, right? my IP address that I'm gonna use like on this network, my network like ID, and here so you must be like together with me in order for us. So this is what we're gonna use here, right? You must always have the habit of typing, of writing something, like putting a note, right? Because when you are doing the configurations, it's going to be so easy. And you must write like next year for me to make my VLAN stock, I will use, who's that one? I will use the traditional way. So it's too small, huh? So I'm just saying. Open your eyes. For me to make my VLAN stock, I will use the traditional way. Yes. VLAN 40, name is IT. The second one is VLAN 80, name is HR. Yellow, it's VLAN 40, name is IT. IP 192.168.1.0/24. So you must also type for me to... Yeah, just something to, right? So for me to make my VLAN stock, I will use the traditional way. Yeah, means every VLAN 80, 80. Means every VLAN will have a physical connectivity to the router. I'm just showing you how we can start writing some of the comments that will assist you. Right? You see my comment is there. So whatever that you're gonna do here, you say something about it here on top. So you are going to say, so I have two VLANs, two departments. For me to make those two departments talk, I will use the traditional way. What does it mean by the traditional way? Traditional way means that every VLAN will have its own physical cable. This is what I wrote there on top. Right? This is what we're gonna do. Because we have two VLANs, means that two cables will go from the switch to the router. Yeah. So if you have three VLANs, means that three cables. Right? Are you with me now? We can move forward. Okay, just 1 minute. Yeah, you can change. Thank you. You see, I can see. Yeah, I can. You're watching properly. I know you always see. Yeah. So the concept, it's very easy, but just be careful on what you are doing, right? As I said, VLANs, it's almost like 30% of CCNA2. When you know VLANs, like you know that like 35% of CCNA2. Okay, guys, now so I'm gonna use two cables, right? That will go from the switch to the router because I have two VLANs. 4 VLANs use 4 switches, right? Now, you're gonna take a straight cable, right? When you are plugging, remember that we stopped at 0/4, huh? We can take 0/5. But sometimes it can give us a headache. So I'm gonna pick up the one that's gonna be, let me take 10 this side and 20 gonna be for the other side. Just to make it so easy for you. Hmm? Oh, you want a gigabyte? Okay. Yeah. Let's take a gigabyte here. Okay, let me type it down. They suggest it like this one, it's a 0/1, huh? And here it's a 0/0, right? You must always be careful where you plugged. Now you're gonna, there again, we're gonna plug on 0/2. (0/2), and there it's what? 0/1. Because we do have two VLANs. Right? You see now the limitation of this method. When you have like 10 VLANs, but your router has only 4, what you're gonna do? It won't gonna work. That's why they came up with those other two methods, router only stick and multi-layer, because this one required so many physical connectivity according to the number of VLANs. Are you there? Yeah. Guys, I'm waiting for you. What we're gonna do now, when you plug, you must put some notes there on top, so that when we are configuring, you know what you are configuring. But if you don't put some notes, you'll get lost. That's why sometimes you are getting lost. All right? Now, what we're gonna do, let's first, guys, we are going to assign the IPs to computers, right? According to their range. The first one, the F0/1. So I'm gonna give it 192.168.1.2. .1.2, right? .1.2. This one, 192.168.1.3, right? There is no need for you to take my own numbers, but because I'm explaining, you must use this one because of the testing, right? Now we are done with the yellow one, right? My friends, did you assign the IP? You click here, you assign, right? I'm gonna wait for you. Yeah, my IP is there. Okay, when you are done with the green one, no, the yellow one, let's move to to the green one now. The green one is .2, huh? So it's gonna be 192.168.2.2. And this one gonna be 192.168.2.3. Okay. Right? We are done with what? The IPs, right? Now, guys, remember that we are dealing with a router, right? When we are dealing with a router, we need a default gateway, right? So for every network, we have to assign like a default gateway. So default gateway, it's like the IP address that will allow like different networks to talk, right? So we're gonna go to the yellow one, right? For every computer, you give it a default gateway here. It's gonna be 192.168.1.1. That, yeah. Go to the yellow one. Yellow one will have the same default gateway, right? You go to the second computer also, you give it a default gateway, right? Yes? 192.168.1.1. Yes? Yeah, the network is 192.168.2.0. Default gateway .1. Okay. Now the green one, huh? Default gateway. The same range, huh? .2.1. You go to the second one. Now it's about working fast, huh? No more slowly, eh? If you are slow, you go to YouTube, the video, some recording. You're gonna just go back there. You do what? You watch it again. The video is there. When you start, okay. You gave your IPs. You determine your default gateway, right? Now we have to create the VLANs, right? First, from here, you can test those two networks. They won't gonna talk, but because of time, let us move forward. Now we're gonna create the VLANs. How many VLANs? 2. We create the VLANs. We are going to rename them, and we are going to assign those ports to their specific VLANs, right? So let's console to one computer, to any computer, you can console. We're going to console to the switch. You go to terminal. The console is no problem. So any computer, it's only one switch. The configuration would go one place. Now, as you can see, guys, you must get used to shortcuts like myself I'm using, right? Now we're gonna type enable, but you cannot type like the whole thing. EN, you press tab, right? And you press enter. Now we need configure terminal. You cannot write like everything. Conf T, press enter, right? Now from here, we can create the VLANs. How many VLANs we do have? 2. VLAN 10, right? Oh, it's VLAN 40. Thank you. VLAN 40. What is the name of VLAN 40? Name IT, right? You can exit or not. You can exit or not. It's gonna still work. Second VLAN is what? VLAN 80. What is the name? HR, right? No, it's not a must. Yeah, that one is just for you to be, yeah, to make sure that you created them. Or maybe if you want to troubleshoot something, maybe there's no connectivity, you can just go to the switch with you, and you say do show VLAN, right? Now, what we are going now to do, we are going to assign those two computers, those two interfaces, F0/1 and F0/2, in which VLAN? VLAN 40. We have to exit because we are in VLAN mode. We exit, right? Now, because we want to configure like many interfaces at the same time, we're going to use the range. You must type only int and you press tab. Yeah, because you don't want to waste time. You can press only R, so you press tab, right? Now you're going to say F0/1, you can say F or FA. Space, there is space, dash, space 2. The same thing, you know it already, guys. There's no need for me to. It's something that you are doing like every time. Interface range F0/1 space dash space 2. You can say FA or fast Ethernet. Still the same thing, right? I'm just giving you 1 second for everybody to be there. This is the yellow one, right? Now you press what? Enter. You can see we are now in range mode. You can see here, we are in range mode, right? So we want to configure those 2 interfaces or those 2 ports. Remember that when you have a switch, your switch can, no, your port on the switch can only be access or trunk, right? We're gonna make those ones, what's the access one, right? So how to make them the access? Switch port, mode access. But you cannot type everything. Just say SW tab. You are writing the same thing that you have already. Now, we want mode. M tab. We want access. A tab. This is switch port mode access. What does it mean? We are making those 2 ports as access port, right? And you press what? Now they're access port, right? Now we have to assign them to which VLAN? VLAN 40, they're in yellow, right? Switch port access VLAN 40. Now what you're gonna do is SW tab, right? Access. So you just press like A tab, V tab. So it's gonna be 4. Switch port access VLAN 40, and you press enter. Right? The most important, you must know why are you doing this, right? What does it mean for every command? Switch port mode access, I'm making that port like an access port. Switch port access VLAN means that you are assigning those ports to VLAN 40, right? So don't take it like, because we are dealing with machines. Machines, they got their own languages, right? So this is their language. So them also, they can be surprised when you are talking your English, your whatever, right? So this is their language. Okay, let's try to verify, right? Do, remember we are using do when we are like in a wrong mode. Normally it's show VLAN, right? But show VLAN, you are using it in privilege mode. But here, because we are in wrong mode, that's why we are starting with do. Because if you don't put do, it won't gonna work. Do, you are giving like an order, right? So you are giving like order to the device. You say, okay, I know that I'm in a wrong mode, but please show me these configurations. Go to your database, show me the VLAN configurations. So this is the meaning of this command. Go to the database, display for me what is there inside the database. Do show. When you say only do show VLAN, you're gonna get so many informations. And some of them, you don't want them. Sometimes you can only look the summary, what you want. So this is the meaning of saying brief. So brief means show me what is important, what I like for now. I wanna see only the I wanna see the VLANs, I wanna see their names, and I wanna see the port that are assigned to that VLAN. Do show VLAN brief. You press what? Enter. Now you're gonna check here, right? You can see here VLAN 40. You can see the name, status, it's up, active, and those are the 2. So you removed them from VLAN 1. By default, all the ports, they belong to VLAN 1 by default. Now we are taking those 2, we removed them from VLAN 1, we are putting them where? On VLAN 40. Now you are sure, like, now we can move to the HR one, right? Okay, let me just wait for these guys to ask me there. Now we are going to move to HR, right? Remember the HR one, we are dealing with the green ones. Huh? I don't know what to do with this green. So we are dealing with the green, right? And for green network, right? For green, we are dealing with which interface? 0/3 and 0/4, right? The green one. We want to make them where? Under VLAN 80. So we're going to say int tab r tab f0/3 space 4, right? We are dealing with the green one, right? You know, guys, how many calls I got for this job? I show some of the guys. From last week, 4 places they called me to go and teach this 4. Yeah. Like you. Not like you. You are more like it than me. I'm just telling you how important some of the things are. 4 places. Interface range. Okay. Now, we have to make them what? Okay, I'm waiting. But don't forget the recording are there also, right? So if you are missing something, you can just go again slowly. I know you are tired. Interface range, yeah, you can say FA or F, same thing. Or fast Ethernet, the whole thing. I'm waiting, one person still late. Always you must check which mode you are, which sub mode. We are in sub modes, this one range. So we are under the interface range, right? So now we have to make those ports the access one. SW tab, switch ports, M tab, 8. Later on, I will show you where you can get all those comments. Sometimes you can just say question mark when you forgot. After switch port, what must I put there? So you can just type switch port, question mark. They will give you the option. No, I say, no. After switch port, there is mode, right? Sometimes you can only type switch port, you press the question mark when you forgot what to put like after switch port, right? You press what? Enter. Means now they are access port, right? Now we are going to assign them to VLAN 80, right? SW. Okay, let me show you the question mark that I was saying, right? Like you press the switch port, right? Suppose like you forgot what's gonna come next, right? Suppose like you forgot, but you have an idea. So you can only type what? Question mark, right? So when you press this question mark here, so it's gonna give you the options. So it's gonna tell you like after switch port, so you can use the access. What does it mean? What does it mean by access? So you can also use what? Mode. So you can also use what? All of them, we're gonna study them. Now you're gonna remember, we say, no, I'm looking what? Access, right? So every time when you forgot something, but you know only the first part, by adding like the question mark will give you the options. Now you guys say, no, I'm looking the access. So we are looking what? The access, right? Let's say from the access again, you forgot what come after, right? So you're gonna press again what? Question mark. You see? So the question mark will tell you there is only one thing you can put there. It's what? VLAN. Right? So some of the comments, you cannot memorize them. So the question mark can start directing you. What is missing? Right? Now you're gonna add what? You're gonna add VLAN. right? Suppose like you forgot from there, you can say question mark. So they're gonna tell you what? Pick up a number between 1 and 94. So, right? So after VLAN, you are missing a number. That number can be between. So that number, it was 80. So always you must get used to question mark and type, right? So when you're configuring, you must get used to type a question mark, right? Switch ports, access VLAN 80, right? Now we are done. We can try to check. Do show VLAN brief. So, and when you are going to write your exam, they will ask you, which command will give you the summary of the database when it comes to VLAN and so on? You will know, show VLAN brief. But I don't think they do. So I'm sure it's not going to come. We are forcing the device, but the actual command, it show space VLAN space brief. Do it when we are like in a wrong mode. We are begging the device. We are forcing, not even begging. We are giving an instruction. You say, yes, I'm in a wrong mode, but do it. Right? Yeah. Like you guys, you wanna go out, but your husband doesn't want. So, but your heart wants you. What you gonna do? You must stay. Eh? There's no choice, guys. Okay, do show VLAN. You can see like our databases, right? So this is the database from the switch, right? So do show VLAN means that you are requesting the switch to show you the VLANs, right? You can see your 2 VLANs here, and you can see the ports that are belonging to those VLANs, right? Now, we are done with creating the VLANs. We are done with assigning the ports to those VLANs. There is one more step that we need to do, right? Remember that, guys, we do have two connectivities to the router, right? There is this one, the gigabit 0/1 and gigabit 0/, right? So now we have to see how to play with these ones, right? The 0/1 and 0/2. This 0/1 will belong to which network? The yellow network, right? 0/2 will belong where? The green one, right? So this one must belong to this VLAN, and this one must belong to this VLAN. You can take the free one. Huh? So let's take a free one. We'll take the yellow one here. Okay, something like. Now you're gonna draw it yourself. So this one will belong here. Will belong to this network, right? And this port will belong where? So this is the meaning. What does it mean by this one? The gigabit 0/1, you have to make it also what? Access port. Right? But it's gonna belong to which VLAN? The yellow VLAN. Right? 0/2 will belong to the green one. Right? Don't forget about that. So we're gonna go to the configurations. We're gonna exit interface. Note the range because we are dealing with one interface. It's gigabit 0/1, right? This one. All right. Yes. Interface space G0/1. Right? So we are going to try to make those 2 ports as the access port. See if the communication will happen. If it doesn't happen, now we are We have to think like another way. Maybe we're gonna make it trunk, but I'm not sure. Right? Yeah. Validation. If you don't validate, so it's gonna wait for you. You press what? Right? Switch port, motor, access, switch port, access VLANer, 40. So you assign it to which VLAN? VLAN 40. Right? You press what? Enter. Right? We're gonna move to the next. Mine here is what? It's 0/ the green one. G0/2. We exit. Interface. 0/2. Right? Switch port. Mode access. Switch port access. VLANer 80. Right? And you press enter. You start from here. I didn't see it. So I'm watching you. Start from here. We are taking this one, right? This one. We are making it like under VLAN 10. No, VLAN 40, and this one under VLAN 80. Right? Okay, me must check if I'm typing correctly because I have to test the connectivity at the end. Are you done? Or I can give you 1 minute? Yeah. Did you understand? If you have 3 connectivity, right? Every cable or every connectivity must belong also to that VLAN. Right? Are you done? Yeah, but a bit longer, I know. It's a real work, huh? Not something like, but it's easy to configure. You must always keep your labs, eh? One day you're gonna be using them. Yeah, pour c'est comment? Tu lui envoies aussi les messages pour test. C'est grave ça, je ne sais pas. Just 1 minute. If you are done, we can move forward, right? Now, when you are done, right? Guys, remember, if you have 3 connectivities, means all those connectivity from the switch to the router must belong to their VLANs. Are you done? Okay, I was minimizing it. So I was seeing maybe it's gonna take me 15 minutes, but we still 1:30 I have a meeting. Let me check first. My meeting too. No, I'm checking at the same time we are moving. No, it's 2 p.m. Yeah, can we move now, guys? Now remember, guys, those 2 interfaces from the router, right? We need first to put them on, right? After bringing them on, you have to assign them the IPs. But the IPs, according to their VLANs, you remember the yellow one, the default gateway was 192.168.1.1. Yeah, this is the IP you can assign to G0/0. For the green one, it's G0/1. Means that the IP address is the default gateway, the one that you gave to computers. It was 192.168.2.1. Let's console to the router. We're going to console to the router. You can console from anywhere. Eh? You can console to the router, please. From the shift to the router. You can console. What left? We're not doing now. We are moving to the router now. You console to the router. You can plug like anywhere. Now go to the computer where you plugged your console cable. You go to terminal. Now we are dealing with router, right? With that router. You say no, right? You console to the router, right? Remember, guys, I told you about the question mark. Suppose like from here, you don't know what to do. You can only press what? Question mark. You can type, right? So from enable, those are the comments that you can use. But which one we are looking for? We are looking this one. The enable one, right? So always get used to that. Enable tab, you press enter, right? From here again, when you forgot what to do, you can press question mark again. So we are looking for what? Yeah. Now when you type, right, conf or configure terminal. Everybody's here? Okay, now we know our interfaces, right? We're gonna start with gigabit 0/0. We have to bring it on. We have to activate it because by default it's off. So it's gonna be interface 0/0, right? We must bring it on by typing the command no shutdown. You're gonna see it's changing already, right? Because it's changing, we are now in the interface mode. We have to give it an IP address. Which IP? The default gateway for the yellow. IP address 192.168.1.1. Remember that there is a default gateway. No, the subnet mask. Right? Am I going fast? Because the recording is there. If you are done, you can just go back, you revise where you stopped before going home. But if you are rushing, the third or the fourth baby will come. Just rush like that. Because when you go home, maybe there's nothing to do. What you gonna do? You know the story. Okay, you press enter. Right? We are done with what? The first connectivity, right? No? Yeah. Right? Now, our interface has an IP address, the default gateway. Now we're gonna move to the second interface. This one, it's gigabit 0/1, right? You exit first. Why you have to exit? Because you are under this one, right? You cannot continue here because the configuration will go under this port. You have to exit first, and you go now to 0/1, right? Okay, I'm going. Now you are forcing me to tomorrow. I will say, hey, fast, because you wanna go home now. You're pressuring me. IP address 192.168.2.1. Remember the default gateway for the green one, right? Are you there? You press what? Your job is what? Done. Now we have to move to the testing part. Let's try our lucky. So if all the configurations are fine, means, so I'm gonna try to ping now. Which one you can ping? Dot two, dot what? Dot two, huh? Yay! Done. You can ping, the two villains can talk. So all of us, we can go and see our people. Yeah. Press again. Oh, there's no three, eh? Ah, so it's taking time a bit because those are the codes they have to communicate. Guys, you understood about the traditional way? No, because it's the first time. But it was too long sometimes. Eh? Okay, guys, thank you very much. If you got some issues, don't go. Go back, go to YouTube. The recording will be there. You are lost. Where? Okay. Yeah, you must check your IPs. You must check the VLANs, the ports. Check, I'm coming. You won't wanna go home. It must. Yo, what?